So once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, to all the speakers who are joining with us today for the International Peace Day celebration by Igniting Brains of Young Minds Foundation. IDYM is a foundation that works specially for educating the children about space and satellite education. And the free trainings and workshop that has been imparted by this foundation, it has now reached more than 2 lakhs of students. Nearly 2 lakh students around the world have received trainings on space and satellite making, and the number is still growing on. So today, firstly, before starting, I would like to thank Engineer Ravi Shankar sir, the founder of ITPIM, for this wonderful opportunity to bring us all together and speak on this occasion of International Peace Day. So let's start with our mentor, Dr. P.K. Rajput sir. So I request Rajput sir to please speak a few words on this occasion.
Thank you so much. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the wonderful international people who have joined here. I can see many gracious people like Dr. Rania ma'am, Melisha ma'am were the first who has joined. Ratan Roro ma'am has come, Nazir Saab has come, Nirmala Devi madam from Malaysia had come, and thank you Anju ma'am for inviting me. I will not take much of the time. I'll speak by 7:30 because all these international guests they have very busy, and Melisha ma'am has already requested at 7:30 she has to go. Right. So, but this is a very important occasion. I just want to open this wonderful forum because today we are celebrating the International World Peace Day, which has been started by UNO. And actually in 2001, it has been changed on this 21st of the September, which is very important. There's a lot to talk on this International Day of Peace because peace is not a one-day job. It is basically an SDG 16 number goal, which has been defined by UN 2030. And they especially talk about that we have to inculcate this in us only, which is very important because by focusing and promoting peaceful and inclusive societies, which is the need of the hour, and it is going to take care for the no conflict, no violence, justice, governance, and these are the targeted issues are there which has to be taken care. So I will give this platform to our international speaker, and then you can call me at 7:30, ma'am. I'll speak a little more because this is one of the very important and favorite subject of mine. And you know that what is happening in the world, how the things are getting changed, how now Canada has started behaving with India, which is the latest example which is there. How Afghanistan is behaving, how so many things are happening. So we have to inculcate the peace wherever we are. So over to you, Dr. Anjum Qureshi ma'am, for our international guests who are here, because they have the different timelines, and I will be there at 7:30. And thank you, Ravi sir, once again for inviting me. I was out of station, but because I don't want to miss this opportunity, so that is the reason I came here. And on this platform, I also want to thank Dr. Rania Lampu, who has given her testimonial for my upcoming book, The Leaders for Ladders, which will be coming in the month of October. Thank you, Dr. Rania, on this platform. I just want to put it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Anjum ma'am. Please carry on. 7:30, I'll come.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. That was really great listening to you. And of course, we cannot actually start without your precious work. That is always a blessing for us to listen to you. So now let's move on to our speakers who have joined from different parts of the globe today. So firstly, I would like to welcome on this virtual stage, Melissa Esposito ma'am from Italy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. And thank you for inviting me. I'd like to share my screen. Can I? Yes?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Let's begin my presentation. Let's speak about the 2030 Agenda, Goal 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Peace, Justice, Institutions. Where are we at? Goal 16 of 2030 Agenda aims to achieve peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, in which all have equal rights and with effective, responsible, and inclusive institutions at all levels. The goal is very ambitious and covers a very broad perspective, intervening with the other goals of the agenda. No substantial progress has been made in recent years with regard to violence, especially against women, promoting the rule of law, strengthening institutions at all levels, or increasing access to justice. Millions of people have been deprived of security, rights, and opportunities, while attacks on human rights activists and journalists who denounce injustice have not diminished. Corruption and violence. One of the main obstacles to achieving these goals is widespread corruption between institutions and businesses. On the occasion of the International Day Against Corruption, the Secretary General of the United Nations said that every year trillions of dollars, the equivalent of more than 5% of global GDP, are paid in bribes or stolen throughout corrupt practices that seriously undermine the rule of law and support criminal activities, such as illicit trafficking in people, drugs or weapons. This flow of illegal money, tax evasion, money laundering, attacks economic resources that would be essential for education, health, and basic infrastructure. They therefore constitute one of the main obstacles to the financing of the Sustainable Development Goals. Percentage of companies involved in corruption. Violence, injustice, and insecurity can also be present in parts of the world where conflicts are not taking place in the economically advanced countries. For example, in Brazil, the number of homicides is still very high, over 65,000 in 2016, as well as in the United States, about 17,000 in 2017. Where moreover the states with the death penalty, Louisiana and Missouri, recorded the death rates, higher homicide than those who do not freeze it. With these premises, the forecasts for 2030 at a global level are not encouraging. Lost identities. In many countries, birth registration is also lacking. In the world, there are too many children who do not officially exist. Birth registration is essential for individuals' legal identity. It guarantees access to their individual rights, such as basic social services and legal justice. Unfortunately, just under 3/4 of children under the age of 5 worldwide have had their birth registered, according to data from 161 countries in the period from 2010 to 2018. In many countries, coverage has been achieved total or near total births, but in some parts of the world, this remains a distant goal. For example, in sub-Saharan Africa, less than half of all children under 5 are registered. And Central and South Asia is also lagging behind with the 68% of registrations. Much work has been done to improve registration systems and to raise awareness among the citizens to have a legal status, but continued efforts are needed to ensure that all children can reclaim their right to an identity. And here you can see the percentage of children under 5 whose birth was registered by civil authority. Lives at risk for justice. The United Nations recorded 397 killings of people defending human rights in 2018, for example. There were activists, journalists, and trade unionists who lived in countries particularly at risk of security and who were fighting to build a more just and inclusive society. This figure is sadly not much different from previous years, when murders of this type occurred with a similar frequencies. Victims worked with the local communities on issues involving the environment, poverty, minority rights, and the impact of business activities. Among them, a particular place is occupied by journalists and bloggers, as a tragic testimony to the fact that information and reporting throughout the media can annoy illicit trafficking and business. Protecting those who defend the fundamental rights and freedoms of others, especially the weakest, must be one of the main objectives of a socially sustainable policy. The voices that denounce injustice must be respected and listened to. This figure shows us killings of human rights defenders in the period from 2015 to 2018. Peace, justice, and institutions. What to do? Achieving world peace, eliminating conflicts, fighting terrorism, crime, and corruption at all levels is essential to enable sustainable development that includes all. If you think that at the end of 2018, just 70 million people had been forcibly displaced due to persecution, conflicts, violence, or human rights violations, we understand there is still a long way to go. In this context, some categories are particularly fragile and suffer the consequences of injustices more than others. In addition to children destined to remain legal ghosts or to be exploited in the world of work or in other illicit trafficking, it is women who are most penalized by precarious and violent situations. International pressure has led to some important results. In 46 countries, women currently hold more than 30% of seats at least one house of the national parliament. It is a significant milestone, which highlights how political and legislative actions can bring about substantial changes in society and in respect for individual rights. However, it should be remembered that even today in 49 countries, women are not protected in any way by laws that punish domestic violence, a fact that confirms the need for incisive political action. The commitment of the United Nations in areas most at risk. The United Nations Development Programme works in many countries where there are or have been in conflict. This project aims to facilitate relations between peoples and promote peace. For example, in Guatemala, this project helps the survivors of the 1982 genocide perpetrated by the military against the Mayan population to make their voices heard and to have justice. In the trial held in 2013, more than 30 years after the massacre, the United Nations gave legal assistance to the relatives of the victims, supported the prosecutors and judges by providing training and coordination courses with forensic anthropologists, also to help find the remains of missing family members. And in Afghanistan, a project is aimed to maintaining ever closer contacts with the neighboring countries, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, facilitating trade, reducing crime, and improving economic development. In concrete terms, bridges have been built on the Penny River, a tributary of the Amu Darya, which forms the border between Afghanistan and Tajikistan. In addition to building the bridges, the project aims to strengthen the Afghan police force to manage borders and emergencies. In Cyprus, one of the few countries still divided today, the project has set as a committee of archaeologists, architects, art historians, and urban planners from both communities to safeguard the important cultural heritage of the island, which, inhabited by over 10,000 years, it is particularly rich in Phoenician, Venetian, French, and Ottoman monuments. The project which aims to reconcile the two areas, has had the support of the European Union. Child labor. Goal 16 of the 2030 Agenda aims to achieve a social and economic condition of peace and equality, promoting and supporting actions to combat discrimination and exploitation. Is therefore one of its main purposes. This is the case of the denunciation of a tragically still widespread reality in the world, child labor, the elimination which is represented as urgent and necessary by Goal 8. Data make you think. The figure is impressive. In the poorest countries in the world, more than 1 in 4 children are engaged in child labor, from 5 to 16 years old, according to recent estimates by the International Labour Organization. 152 million children are exploited as workers, and 68 of them are girls. About half are forced to operate in dangerous activities that endanger health, safety, and life itself. What is that? It is the work activity that employs children with a coercion for the economic profit of others. And in this way, they are illegally and unjustly deprived of their childhood, their dignity, and a healthy psychological, physical development. These children, often confined and marginalized, are denied the right to go to school, the opportunity to play and enjoy their loved ones. Child labor includes various forms of labor exploitation and psychological and physical abuse, often in degraded context and of extreme poverty. Many of these works concern the processes of the globalized economy, agriculture, meaning services and industries for the production of goods for export. The areas most affected by this phenomenon are those of the African continent, where the average percentage of child workers reaches as much as 29%. And these figures shows us percentage of working children aged 5 to 17 in the poorest country. And gender inequality. Among children experiencing this terrible condition, boys and girls are equally likely to be involved in child labor. Even in this area, however, there is a gender disparity linked to the type of activity carried out. It is in fact easier for girls to be exploited for unpaid domestic services, while children and boys are employed more in hard works. And this shows us a percentage of children aged 5 to 17 engaged in child labor by gender and region. And what does it happen in Italy? The composite index, my country. The composite index prepared by ASVIS regarding the 16 goal in Italy shows a fluctuating trend between 2010 and 2015, with a recent trend towards improvement. Despite this, the situation in our country shows not very comforting data linked to strong standing problems. For example, the excessive length of trials, corruption, the inefficient structure of public administration. Among the others, one data is sadly significant: the increase in prison overcrowding. Trend of the indicator developed by ASVIS for Italy for the promotion of a peaceful, inclusive, and sustainable society. Geographically, most of the negative trends are recorded in the northern and central Italy, while in the southern area, the recent trends marks a reversal. In general, however, it should be emphasized that Italy has signed some commitments over the years, including the equal access to justice, the reduction of illegal financing and organized crime, the fight against corruption and extortion, the improvement of institutions, the protection of fundamental freedoms. What can we do? We can support a charity with activities and or donations, to denounce in our places of life and everyday situations all forms of violence, discrimination, bullying, enhancing the opportunities for encounter and inclusion. Volunteer in NGO association or associations that work in favor of human rights on a global and local level. Buy products from developing countries. Fair trade labels integrate items from local producers in developing countries. Keep us informed by following the local and international news on the available media, TV, web, magazines, and newspapers. My speech is ended. Thank you all for listening to me, and thank you again for inviting me to this important meeting. Thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really a wonderful presentation, I must say, because it was a presentation with full of research, with so much of data that you had. And of course, on this, when we are here together for the International Peace Day, here we are thinking of, we are always, this day especially symbolizes that violence should be reduced all over the world, and we should strengthen the islands of peace around the world. So this is one of the mottos of celebrating the International Peace Day, and your presentation is really, really very awesome, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful presentation on the Sci-Fi platform. And so, Rajput sir, now we would like to hear from you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. So once again, very, very good evening. And thank you, Melisha ma'am. You are supposed to leave at 7:30. So that is the reason we honor your time. And very again, good evening to Patricia ma'am, Veena ma'am, Assalamu alaikum to Dr. Ishtiaq sir. Right now you have joined here. So
Thank
very
you. Good
happy.
evening, sir.
Sir, good evening to you, sir. Very happy, sir, to see. So we are talking about the peace part, right? And the peace part is actually it comes from us only. This year the theme is end racism and build peace. The theme is wonderful. People they are talking a lot about the thing. But I always say that if the peace in the earth is there and the love is to be ignited, it has to not be from anybody else. The desire and the feeling of I should be coming there and mine should be coming there instead of putting to somebody else. Because we all agree, wherever we are in the country, in the places where we work, in the home, or whatever the peace always comes from within. We cannot look at outside because peace is like a reward itself, which is very important. And it begins with a smile in the heart. If you're not afraid to forgive for the sake of peace, then you are the real courageous person, which is very important. So these are the things are there which can be inculcated. But now, since we talk about this year theme and racism to build peace, I was very happy after listening the entire presentation of Melisha ma'am, the way she has given the points, which is very important. The entire world, Ukraine, Russia, what is happening? From last 2 years, there is no peace. You can understand the agony of the people, right? How we are scared about the things. So these are the things that are now with India, the relationship of Canada, how the things are getting changed. Again, the harmony of the peace is getting strained. These are the things are there. So I always feel because we are not a political person, we are a people who can add the value on that, and we can talk on the thing which is very, very important. So as a educationist, we can talk about, we can promote the education, we can promote the awareness across wherever we are. We can address the systemic racism, which is important because with this promoting it, we can talk about the changes in the policy, the discrimination should be taken care, promoting equal opportunity to all the people, and challenging the discriminatory practices within the institution where we are. We can also promote the equality and the justice. At least, again, we cannot take care for the entire nation, but wherever we are a part of the nation. So we can be equally responsible for the equality and for the justice part, because wherever it is required, we should be standing next to them to ensure it should be there. And at the same time, we can support anti-racism movements because these are the couple of things are there. We can join the right protest, not the wrong protest, right? Second thing is signing the petition, which is very important because it is required. We can do it in a very positive way. Supporting the organization that fight against the action, which is again important. Now, it again start from protecting the child because now in African countries or in the Eastern countries of the world, that the child abuses in a bigger way. If you are able to take care for that, child exploitation is very, very high in there. Trafficking is very important. We should stop that part and all forms of the violence against the child, which is another part of the piece is there. Combating the organized crime. This is another very important thing. There's a series of the crime is happening there. And the things are happening. I will not take the name of the crime, but we all know, we all are the educated people. We understand that the organized crimes is one of the part of becoming unpeaceful part, which we are able to stop it. This is again, we can take care for this part. Reducing corruption. I still remember on 15th of August, our respected Prime Minister, he said about it, that we should stand by next to the corruption. We should not encourage the corruption. I know it is such a painful system is there, but if we all join together, we can get rid from this important point. Again, the peace is going to happen. Reducing the violence. Why we should have unnecessary fighting with other person. As a human to human, the things can be resolved with a lot of happiness, with a positive attitude. With a positive attitude, we can make the difference because violence is not the end of the story. People are fighting and try to understand that the family, they are losing their main person, their bread winner, they are losing it. What type of things are happening there? But it is not happening to other people. So if you are able to stop these parts, it is going to make a difference. We as a leader, wherever the small position or the big position, wherever we are, if we are able to lead by the examples, right, that yes, we want peace, we want harmony, we want love, we want respect, I think we can change the entire scenario where we are. Then international cooperation, again, this is the job of our politicians. But if they start thinking about this part, because UN 2030, they said about the SDG goal number 16, we have only 7 years left over. But if you see the 7 years which is there, the peace is not coming up. The world started fighting, right? People are scared about it. And you can see the best example of Ukraine and Russia. Again, I'm talking about it, where the peace has gone. So it is very, very important to note that ending racism is a long-term and ongoing process that requires sustainable effort and commitment from each of us, wherever we are, the communities which we represent about it, the institution which we represent about it, and by working together with happiness, harmony, respecting each other, we can really create a world which is really required, because it is not for us today. It is for our next generation which is going to come, and they are going to live in this world where they want a lot of harmony, they want a lot of peace which is there. And as a citizen of our own country or the own places, we can add this thing and we can help others to have a peaceful and happy and healthy life. Thank you so much for giving me this great opportunity, Dr. Anjum ma'am, and all the dignitaries which are here in front of me, and Ravi Shankar ji from IDYM. Thank you. Again, I am blessed and very happy to be a part of this Peace Forum that we are talking on the International Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, we are blessed to have you on this platform today. And of course, as you started with, like, peace starts from within. Yes, of course. We talk about global peace and how we are going to ensure peace all over the world, but it starts from us. Everything that we want to do, we cannot just go and change the world. We have to start from ourselves. That was a very great thing that you talked about. And of course, we have to bring an end to violence. We have to bring an end to corruption. And whatever we are doing when we are talking about peace today, we are talking about that the violence should end or corruption should end. We are not doing it just for ourselves, but we are doing
Child
it
trafficking,
for generations to come.
child abuse, child
Yeah.
trafficking, child abuse, right? And again, a part of gender equality, helping the women also, right? Encouraging them. So many things are there. Anjum ma'am, I keep on talking about things because such a wonderful thing which is we are there. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. So now let's move on to our next speaker from Greece, Rania Lampo, ma'am. Great educator, STEM educator from Greece. Rania, ma'am, I welcome you on this virtual stage.
And she got promotion also. Let me tell you, she got further next elevation. So congratulations, Dr. Rania. For
Thank
your
you.
next
Thank you so
elevation.
much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations, Rania ma'am.
Thank you. Well, what to say? Happy World Peace Day. Many congratulations to IDYM for this significant initiative today. Many congratulations to our previous speakers, Melissa, Dr. Rajput, who gave us a wonderful insight and many details. They covered, I think, many aspects of the topic today. And you know that peace, of course, is more relevant and more important than ever, because military power cannot resolve underlying political, social, and economic problems and sustain peace. You know that Global Peace Index, it's the world's leading measure of global peacefulness, which has also developed what we call Positive Peace Index. Positive Peace Index measures the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies. If you read the report for 2023, the Global Peace Index report for this year, the average level of country peacefulness deteriorated, and it's the 9th consecutive year that global peacefulness has deteriorated. Of course, what is the reason? Mostly Russia's invasion of Ukraine and its consequences were the main drivers of deterioration in peacefulness globally. The total number of conflict-related deaths also increased by 96%, according to this report. And total military expenditures increased mainly driven by countries involved in the Ukraine war. 2022 saw actually a shift in the global distribution of violence. Major conflicts in Middle East and North Africa and South Asia declined, while conflicts in Sub-Saharan Africa, Europe, and Asia-Pacific intensified. And of course, increased geopolitical competition has fueled conflict in many countries. The global economic impact, it's something, have you ever thought about the global economic impact of violence? All this expenditure and economic effect which is related to containing, preventing, and dealing with the consequences of violence. Because the economic impact of violence could provide actually a basis to better understand the economic benefits resulting from improvements in peace. Violence and fear of violence create significant economic disruptions. And violent incidents, for instance, generate costs in the form of property damage or physical injury or psychological drama. So fear of violence also alters economic behavior primarily by reducing the propensity to invest and consume, and expenditure also on preventing, containing, and dealing with the consequences of violence diverts public and private resources away from more productive activities and towards more protective measures. So violence actually generates economic losses, direct costs, indirect costs, and a multiplier effect. A focus on international peace and security, countering terrorism, and heightening the efficiency of diplomatic relations is important. Diplomacy. Actually, why? Because the tools and approaches championed by diplomatic actors are critical to addressing peace and security, especially fragile contexts, mitigating this way terrorism and displacement, and achieving other foreign policy objectives. So conflicts cannot be resolved without political processes. Positive peace cannot be established without a focus on governance and cooperation. Strong diplomatic relations cannot be sustained without a degree of permanence in diplomatic relations. And of course, growing pressures on diplomacy, diplomatic priorities are not confined to bilateral relationships. Multilateral diplomacy is also facing significant challenges. So this nowadays, the erosion of multilateralism is actually hurting. It's hurting the ability of the international community to respond to transnational threats such as climate change, also the COVID pandemic. It risks damaging the ability of the international community to effectively promote peace and address fragility. The growing tensions in global international cooperation underlying the need to be creative and adaptive in efforts to craft a consensus and navigate diplomatic pathways to agreements on peace and security efforts in fragile contexts. So the quest of global peace and security, I think, is constant in diplomatic practice. This modern multilateral system, which is actually anchored in the United Nations, was founded with this primary objective of saving future generations from the scourge of war. So any efforts to maintain international peace are based on cooperation and political processes, which is the essence of diplomatic practice. Diplomatic actors in diplomacy are particularly well placed to take on this task of promoting peace, as diplomacy is based on intermediation with the objective to promote friendly relationships between actors. And over the last century, a plethora of tools and mechanisms, of charters, of institutions have been developed through multilateral diplomacy that are used to set the norms, to enforce rules and respond to conflict in order to ensure peace and security. I think the most prominent of these interventions is the Charter of the United Nations, which sets out a number of principles for the member states to protect the human rights, to promote development, to ensure peace and security. And of course, similarly, the African Union has established a set of norms and principles regarding governance, human rights, and peace. So we talked about diplomacy, we talked about the impact, the economic impact of violence, and we mentioned also human rights. sustainable, lasting peace and security can only be attained when all human rights are fulfilled. Because peace means not only the lack of violent conflicts, but also the presence of justice and equity, as well as respect for human rights for the earth, for the environment. That's why we talk nowadays about environmental peace. So war and violence inevitably result in the denial of human rights. So building a culture of human rights is a precondition to achieving a state of peace. Building and maintaining culture of peace is a shared challenge for humankind. And the Sustainable Development Goals, for instance, adopted by the UN, recognize this important role of security for development, especially today we talk about SDG 16, peace and justice, how to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. So building back trust, building institutions and relationships, of course, is complex. It's complex and a long-term endeavor, full of steps forward and back. And this is the task here of peace building. What we need actually is peace building approaches, including mediation, diplomacy, I mentioned before, dialogue, cooperation, participation, peace education, if we talk about schools. All these are essential part of a toolkit that we needed to meet the goal 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals in order to promote inclusive societies. For instance, if we talk about peace education, through applying peace education and creating a peace culture, schools, it has been proved that schools can improve the standard quality of teaching and learning. They can develop a more humanistic approach. They can facilitate socialization through participation in interactive activities. And before concluding, if we talk about ourselves, previous speakers said that peace starts from within ourselves. Some ways can promote peace is, first of all, to develop our understanding of the frames of mind. Which are the frames of mind that usually promote conflict and violence against another group? For instance, the belief that our own group is superior to another group, or the perception that another group threatens well-being, or a sense of uncertainty about our safety and security. All these are frames of mind that promote violence. A second strategy is how to develop our understanding of the strong emotions that underpin conflict and violence. Understand about anger. Anger about a provoking event and fear of future events can support an aggressive orientation towards others. Another strategy is pay attention to the ways that language and channels of communication are used to support conflict and violence. The public rhetoric and media. Beware that public beliefs may be shaped to condone violence against another group and cast aggression in a morally positive frame. And of course, recognize that social inequalities are unjust and of course fuel misery, they fuel conflict and violence. So what we need is to advocate for equalities in human rights, for healthcare opportunities, safety and security. I am a STEM instructor and I'm working at the Greek Ministry, but also I'm the founder of many humanitarian programs, which are addressed for free always to underprivileged children. And through these educational projects, I'm trying to promote positive peace, which is based on sustainable investment, stability, and high standard of living. So I'm trying to alleviate all these problems of these children who are suffering from all the disadvantages of negative peace. I'm trying to alleviate, to mitigate this through education. So make actually negative peace look like more positive peace. This is one of my missions. So thank you very much for this great opportunity. Thank you very much. I also would like to thank Dr. Ravi Shankar for his invitation. I wish him best wishes to Dr. Rajput for his brand new book about leadership. I think it's a book that everyone needs to have in his pillow. I think it's very, very important. Thank you also, Dr. Anjum, for always being there as a wonderful host. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was really a very awesome presentation, a very awesome talk by you. And as you were talking, yes, of course, we see that it was one of the SDGs, but actually, if we see all the SDGs are interrelated. If we just talk about how a war between two countries is affecting, it is not just just the two countries, but it is affecting the whole world. And in fact, yes, of course, peace, and it is a very great platform. We can say we all are thankful to Ravi Shankar sir for this wonderful conference that we are having. And the speciality is that we have speakers from coming up from different countries sharing their own views. So it was really great listening to all of you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining with us.
It would be very interesting to have someone from Ukraine.
Yeah.
That would be very, very interesting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So now, nextly, I would like to invite our next speaker from Indonesia, our guest of honor today, Rajan Roro Martin Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Arjun. Thank you, Professor Rajput. Thank you, Rania. Thank you, Nirmala Devi, and my friend all here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Martin Ningsih. I come from Indonesia. Happy Peace Day. Thank you for Ravi Shankar Kumar and IDYM Foundation that I can be the beautiful place here. What is the goal? Okay, slide so. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provides access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. Why? People everywhere need to be free of fear from all forms of violence and feel safe as they go about their life whatever their ethnicity, faith, or sexual orientation. Conflict, insecurity, weak institution, and limited access to justice remain threats to sustainable development. In 2019, the number of people fleeing war, persecution, and conflict exceeded 79.5 million, the highest level ever recorded. Why should I care? High level of armed violence and insecurity have a destructive impact on a country's development. Sexual violence, crimes, exploitation, and torture are prevalent where there is conflict or no rule of law. Government, civil society, and communities need to work together to find lasting solutions to conflict and insecurity. Strengthening and the rule of law and promoting human rights is key to this process, as is reducing the flow of illicit arms, combating corruption, and ensuring inclusive participation at all times. And what can we do? Exercise your right to hold your elected official to account, to freedom of information, and share your opinion with your elected representative. Promote inclusion and respect towards people of different ethnic origins, religions, gender, sexual orientation, or different opinion. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Dr. Arjun, Rania, Dr. Rajput, Melissa, Nirmala Devi, and all my friends here. Greeting from Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Rajan Roro, ma'am. That was really a very short and powerful message that you could give. Because of course we need to respect when you're talking about peace and we want that everyone should come out of this fear of violence. So yes, we need to respect each and everyone, irrespective of their nationality, their religion, caste, race, whatever it is. But we need to respect each and everyone. That was a very great message given by you. Thank you for joining, and thank you for this wonderful presentation on the occasion of International Peace Day. So, my dear viewers, now let's move on to our next speaker from Malaysia, another great educator, Nirmala Devi, ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Anju. Indeed, a great pleasure to meet you again, and also, of course, Professor Dr. Rajput sir. Thank you so much for the incredible talk related to celebration of the peace. And Rania ma'am, congratulations for your achievement. It is indeed a great pleasure to wish you today in this special occasion, ma'am. And I'm so happy, ma'am. Just as always, Rania ma'am and other speakers, they have opened up the platform for me to jump into the students' engagement. So I'm so happy that we are celebrating, International Peace Day together. Like it has been celebrated, established in 1981 by United Nations General Assembly. 2 decades later, in 2001, the General Assembly unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. And then it is indeed an essential element to realization of all human rights, what our speakers have mentioned earlier. So peace is a product of human rights, actually. The more a society promotes, protects, and fulfills the human rights of its people, the greater its chances for curbing violence and resolving conflicts peacefully. Some of the examples mentioned by Dr. Rajput earlier. As peace is a basic human right, it is very, very important that we have peace in all possible aspects. Even at our workplace, we don't have to go very far. Even at our workplace, I always, whenever I step in the school compound, I always worship some mantras. Being a Hindu, I worship some mantras, and I always ask for peacefulness, not only for me, but also for my colleagues who are working together with me, because we need to maintain peacefulness at workplace in order to work happily with one another without conflicts, because we are working with quite many people, they don't have the same mindset as us. So we cannot assume that everybody going to be the same, going to be so good like you, or having that kind of ethics like what we have. So due to that, I always pray for peacefulness, so that if there's any conflicts, minor conflicts, I do not want it to be burst like the world conflict in the workplace. So I always maintain that my rapport with my peers very nicely, tactfully, because some kind of troubles at workplace can really cause a lot of problems for you to work peacefully, because you are going to see the same people, the same faces. So you need to work with them. So in order to work well, to do projects together, we have to maintain peacefulness as what we maintain in the family. So always colleagues, whoever working with me, I always regard them as my family members, because we are looking at them every day. So we need to maintain peacefulness. Same goes to the little ones, the students, whoever I'm teaching. I always feel that they are the like white sheet of paper, white sheet of cloth, where we have to mold them, shape them in order to understand what is it all about. So this morning we had assembly, and then during that I informed my students about World International Peace Celebration. So over this year, since 2020, I've actually asking my students to create slogans or posters or color the posters in order to educate them, because in order to introduce SDGs, it's not in our syllabus, but as an educator, I always introduce them SDG 1 until SDG 17 in many projects. So same goes to International Peace Celebration. So Anju ma'am, can I share screen to show a few slides that I've done? Okay, ma'am. Hang on. I just want to show some of the glimpses actually my students have done over these years. I didn't manage to put all, but at least I tried to share a few. Okay, so being an educator, I know I'm teaching in SK St. Patrick, Malaysia. Anju ma'am has already mentioned. So I'm so fortunate to share. And this is the location of my, I come from here. You know, there is West Malaysia and East Malaysia. So I come from East Malaysia, which is 2 hours, 45 minutes away from Kuala Lumpur, our capital city. And this is a school that I'm teaching. Okay, hang on. Okay, so the theme of this year is Actions for Peace, our ambition for the global goals. All right, so the day is celebrated in order to respect one another. These are some of the posters my students have done over these years from 2020 up to now. And my students are actually, I need to educate them. What is it all about? You know, how to celebrate peace, International Peace Day, and then why we need to maintain peacefulness and all that. So I told them no need to go very far, like what I mentioned, just take care of the peacefulness in our surrounding, especially in the classroom, with their friends, you know, in the community, with their teachers and all that. And I'm a person that I do not want to have conflicts with anybody, especially the parents. So I'm very thankful in respecting my students and their parents as well. So then I can get a lot of help and collaboration from the parents. So as I said earlier, I try to avoid conflicts so in my surrounding. And so peacefulness has to be regarded as an important element in our life. And also we need to respect one another in any platforms we are traveling, especially people, we are meeting people with different ethnic, different religion and different mindset. So we have to respect one another, and many other examples have been given by our speakers and also Rajput sir regarding the world crisis. So thank you so much for the opportunity given to me, Anju ma'am, Dr. Rajput, and dear friends. Truly appreciate your time for me today. Actually, I canceled a few collaborations at student engagement because my students have been very busy with international, with independence celebration in Malaysia. So due to that, I'm fortunate to be able to share my students' work in this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. In fact, yes, in fact, when you didn't share the screen, I was wondering because every time for any topic, we can see you work so much with the students. You are working hard to raise awareness among the students. Let it be any topic, you always come with beautiful presentation, and those presentations are actually the work done by you and your students. That is really a very great thing. And as you were talking about, yes, conflict resolution. When we talk about peace all around the world, yes, of course, we should be learning about resolving conflicts, avoiding conflicts with the people whom we live with every day. It can be our family or members or your friends or colleagues. So yes, that was a very great concept that you discussed about, and hats off to the work done by your students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the opportunity given. Truly appreciate.
Thank you. And we really appreciate your efforts, the way you have been working with your students, the kind of awareness you have. Thank you. That's really remarkable. So now let's move on to our next speaker from Zimbabwe, one great educator, Dr. Patricia Gunde, ma'am.
Thank you so much, our moderator, Dr. Anjum Qureshi. I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the viewers and all the eminent speakers on this platform. I was enjoying the speeches from our different speakers from all over the world, Rania Lampume, Dr. Rajput, Nimala, Melissa, and everyone. Thank you so much. I would just like to share a bit about International Day of Peace as we gather here to reaffirm our commitment to a world that is filled with harmony, compassion, and understanding. And I would just like to touch on something that is close to my heart about education. And when I'm talking about education, I'm talking about those children who live in war-torn countries, who come from homes that have got conflict, that have got violence. And then when also we are talking about peace, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the absence of war or conflict. It is also a state of harmony that is within us, where us as individuals can live free especially from fear. I heard Dr. Rajput talking about abductions, where we can live freely from abductions, where we can live freely from discrimination, where we can live, be it in a home, be it in a school, or everywhere where we are. So it is a condition that we all know that it fosters growth, development, and the realization of maybe of human potential. So as I'm talking today as an educationist, I would like to say that there are so many millions of children. Yes, Dr. Rani Alampiu was talking about Ukraine, children from Ukraine. I was lucky this holiday when we had, I think we had also a conference where we had children from Russia in the MUN, Model United Nations Conference. And I was asking myself, yes, these children are living in a war-torn country, but they are giving their time to come and talk to us about sustainable cities and communities. And I saluted those children. So we see we've got those children who are living torn apart by the horrors of war and conflict, and they've had their childhood stolen from them because they are not living normally like other children who are living in countries that don't have war. So instead of laughter each and every day, they are hearing the deafening sounds of the bombs, the deafening sounds of the gunfire, and they don't have those safe havens that our children have. And they've been, some of them have been forced to flee from their homes. Some of them have been forced from their communities because they are being abused daily by people whom they trust, people who are relatives. So they've fled from their homes, and some of them have sought refuge in unfamiliar lands. We have had children fleeing from Zimbabwe because they are living in those circumstances where they are being abused daily, and they've crossed borders even to go to South Africa, where even they face those conflicts because they are foreigners. And in this face of such adversity, we always talk about education being a beacon of hope, and we know that it provides our children with a pathway to brighter future. And in our communities, are we providing the safe havens to our children? Are we providing those safe havens? We have relatives who have abused children, and have we listened to them each and every day? Sometimes they don't even talk to us, but you can tell by the way their signs and symptoms that these children, they have got something that is affecting them. And sometimes that deafening ear, we don't listen to them. So we need, so as an educationist myself, I say that education, normally it equips our children with those knowledge and skills. We have what we call life skills education. We have provided life skills education to children as young as 3 years, as young as 4 years, and they didn't even know that they were being abused. They are living in families where their mothers never know. And when we talk to them about life skills, that's when they come and confide to us that such and such a thing is happening. And there is a need now for having counselors in the education sector who can help these children professionally so that they can also help themselves. So we talk about emergencies, education in emergencies, and we know that education is often one of the first casualties, because when we are now going to a war conflict zone, schools are destroyed, teachers are displaced. Think of Boko Haram in Nigeria, how many girl children were taken, and some of them have never come back. And those children were displaced, and now they have got, they have been affected. So we must also recognize that education in emergencies is not a luxury. It is a fundamental right, and it is our moral obligations as we are here as social activists to ensure that every child, regardless of their circumstances, has the right to learn, has got the right to grow? Have we provided that education even in children who do not have schools? We can provide educational facilities everywhere. And we know that it is now time for us to raise awareness, to advocate for the protection and provision of education for our children. And we must also demand, as citizens of governments of countries, that governments and international organizations, they should provide education as a key component of humanitarian responses. And we can support as social activists and contribute to organizations which are working tirelessly. We know that we've got United Nations, it has got SDGs. Are we supporting them? Thank you so much to IDYM. This is part of raising awareness, because I am going to learn how Greece has done it, how Indonesia has done it in different countries. So we should rally behind those initiatives that promote peace building and conflict resolution. In our classes, we've got children. We should teach them to live peacefully and in harmony with others. It is us as adults who are able to do that. We should also invest in peace education, and we can also equip our children with those tools to build bridges, like counseling sessions. I know here I've got guidance and counseling as a subject. We also need to equip them to resolve conflicts peacefully. I know that in schools we've got leadership in the form of prefects. Are we doing those training sessions so that our children can also learn to live harmoniously? And we must also remember that peace begins with ourselves and in our communities. Us as mothers and fathers in the home, are we teaching our children, our own children, to live peacefully? If we instill that in our children, they'll go and respect others and even spread that word of peace. So by nurturing these values, we know that we create what we call a ripple effect that extends far beyond even our immediate surroundings, our homes. And it also fosters a culture of peace that can transcend into borders and unite humanities. So today, as we celebrate International Day of Peace, let us also renew our commitments as mothers, as fathers, as teachers, to build a world where our children can experience the joys of peace. Together, we can create that world. And let me leave you with what Mahatma Gandhi has said: if we are to reach real peace in the world, we shall have to begin with the children. And so let us embark that journey together for the sake of our children, for the sake of their future, for the sake of a world where peace prevails in every corner. And thank you everyone for joining me today, and let us carry that spirit of peace in our hearts, and let our actions be a testament to our commitment. Our theme says action, and let's action together, and we can make a difference. Thank you so much, our moderator.
Ma'am, and yes, of course, that was really another, very great talk coming from you. And yes, as you said, that we have to begin from children, and you were talking about like, when we talk about peace, it is not just about like avoiding wars or avoiding the some kind of conflicts amongst us, I mean, the people around us, but we want a world that will be free from discrimination, a world where we can see growth and development everywhere around. So that is really a great message given to you. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you for your wonderful insights. And now I would like to invite one more speaker, is there, Namado Jello. Hi, yes, sir. Yes,
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to every one of you. Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone, all the participants. I am very much glad to be part of this August gathering to celebrate World International Peace. And then I'm very grateful for the invitation as well, and I extend my happiness. I'm glad for all the speakers before me, like of Rania Lampu, like of Patricia Gonde, and all of you. These are the type of things that we need in the world. The world is in their need of peace. because there is tension, there is crisis, there is war, hatred all around. But then how can we establish this peace? This is the question here. Organizing conferences, organizing workshops, training our children, no, that's okay. But how are we to establish peace? What is peace? Because I have seen, mostly people, we talk about peace, and then there's no global peace. Notwithstanding our conferences, notwithstanding the effort that we are doing, both internationally, nationally, from UN, whatever, but there's no global peace. So what is peace? What is why this? According to my own research and perspective, I think people, they have problem in the definition of peace and how to establish peace. They have problem in this. And this is why I always, connect myself with the Gandhian philosophy. Mahatma Gandhi's ideology of peace is very important as far as global peace is concerned, because you cannot achieve anything in this world through violent activism. Nothing absolutely you can achieve in this world through violent activism. Because peace is the sanam banam of all constructive activities in this world. It is the greatest good. There's no negativity in peace. But you can only achieve peace through unilateralism. You find some people, some pacifists will tell you, to establish peace, we need social justice. Okay, social justice. But this is something that I think we have mistaken this. You cannot establish peace through social justice. You will establish peace through peace itself. Create the environment. Once you create the environment, there will be opportunities. Because with 10 problems, there's one opportunity. 100 problems, 10 opportunities. There is tension around the world. Everybody is fighting for his or her right. Give me justice, then I give you peace. So there's no peace. So we can only establish peace when, we work towards peace itself. Because the question here is how peace in this sense has never ever been established in the whole world. Throughout human history, that is, peace was only established through unilateralism. You will only accept, like for example, Mahatma Gandhi, we know how he struggled, for India before, after partition, before, pre-partition India, before, independence. So many great minds, many people fought for India to gain independence, but then no avail, because the method that they, adopted to achieve peace was not good. So then they failed. But when Mahatma Gandhi came, he adopted the peaceful activism method, the peaceful method. And then within few years, he achieved the unachievable. This is the difference. When you go to Kashmir today, they are fighting. Why? Give me justice, I give you peace. It can never happen. And then you go to Ukraine and Russia also. Why? What is the war all about? There's no justice. Understand? You go to Palestine and Israel, there's no justice. So when we study human history, we find out that this definition is against human nature. It's again totally against human nature. You can only establish peace through unilateralism. Understand? Once we establish it, when we accept this, then there will be global peace. And the other thing that I want to share with our speakers and then our participants here, as I said earlier, that peace can be established on a unilateral basis. We should all understand this, without confrontation with others. But when we want to establish social justice and human rights, it becomes a bilateral issue. Okay? Now, because we have to fight other groups which we think are responsible for injustices and the violation of human rights, if we start our journey towards this goal, it is bound to lead to confrontation with the existing groups. And instead of reaching our goals, we will fail woefully. So we have to accept, first of all, on a unilateral basis, then we establish peace. But once we want to establish peace through violent activism, we cannot establish peace through that way. We must accept peace through unilateral activity. Then there will be global peace. So this is something that we need, as the speakers, some of you just mentioned earlier on. We need to leave a lasting legacy for upcoming generations. We need to leave a lasting legacy. And then I always tell people, because I started writing a book on the nuclear disarmament, because we need to disarm our all these nuclear powers. Because once we disarm, then there will be peace. We should address these things. But then everybody wants to be powerful. Through what? Through war. So there will be no global peace. So I'm using this forum to plead for all nations. We should try to disarm. And then we should all, there's no need for creating blocks in the world, because after all, we are all one global family. So there's no need for creating blocks here and there, because that will not help the world to achieve a lasting peace. And then we should also put this in mind, that we are celebrating this day in order to leave a lasting legacy for upcoming generations, our children. We don't want to leave a negative legacy that our children will be, they will continue cursing us forever and ever. We have, the world have already seen the devastating effects of the Hiroshima and the Nagasaki, during the Second World War. And then that is enough for the world. There should be a full stop for the world. We don't need any comma, no anything, full stop. Let's work for normalcy, and then we create opportunities for global peace. Through what? Through peaceful lines. Then there will be global peace. But if you want to fight for, when you have this mentality, protesting your rights. Pardon?
No, there was some disturbance. Please go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying earlier, that the world has seen the devastating effects of Second World War, and then that was a lesson for us. That is enough for us. There should be no, continuation here. We need to stop. So my book will be launched very soon on nuclear disarmament. And I pray that the world, I'm not here to address or then to beg, for the world to listen to me. I'm nobody, but then I'm using that forum, and then I'm using my book, my pen, because to address this issue, that world leaders, to take this heed, and then we can leave a lasting legacy for the world. Otherwise, the world will continue in hatred, in tension, in crisis, and then there will be no lasting peace, which I think we are all praying hard that we all need a global and a lasting peace in the whole world. And we have seen the problem even in Africa here, and we have seen not only in Africa, everywhere there's tension, everywhere. So all these problems, we need to address them. So today, I'm very much glad being invited as a speaker on this very August gathering to address these things. Although we cannot exhaust all what we need to talk about in this very short gathering, but then we should continue raising our voices, to address these current issues in the world. And then we beg, to world leaders, they should, put this, secure reforms in the world. Through this way, I think we can have peace. And sorry for not, introducing myself. I am in the person of Mahmoud Abdul Salam Jallo, and I'm from the Gambia here, West Africa. I am a member of Noble Institution for Environmental Peace Organization, Canada, and a PhD research candidate at NIU University, USA. I am also a pacifist who, and an author and a speaker as well. So together we can reshape our world. Together we can make a change. Together we can leave a lasting legacy. Thank you to all of you, and I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. So that was really a very great talk, David. And of course, we are a global family, and when we talk about peace, we have to accept peace. And we are talking about global peace and there should be peace all around the world. So it can't happen if there is no justice. In fact, yes, as rightly said by you, the places that are suffering now presently, this is because the absence of peace in those places, in those countries. That was a very great message given by you. And I think with this, we come to the end of the session. Any more speakers, if you are there?
Good evening, Anju ma'am. Sorry
Yes,
for
good
late join.
evening.
I'm Dr. Revati.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for late joining. And I'm sorry, today I'm not able to start my video. Shall I start? Anju
Yes,
ma'am?
ma'am. We are not able to see you.
Just a second. Due to some internet issue, I'm unable to start my camera. So shall I?
We can
Anju
see you
ma'am?
now. Please go ahead. Just continue.
Okay. So namaste to all. Yes, to commemorate this International Day of Peace, a day that calls upon us to reflect the importance about the peace. So, recovering the better for an equitable and a sustainable world. So, this subject is very important that serves as a helpful reminder that true peace is about establishing a world where justice, equality, and sustainability are valued. Peace is not just the absence of conflict or that is called as the violence, but it encourages all of us to acknowledge that peace is an active process that always asks us for ongoing commitment or as the moral compass of a fair and the inclusive society. And because of a strong sense of inclusion and belongingness, it is fostered within our communities where every person is treated with dignity. They also need the respect regardless of their race, gender, religion, nationality, or any other that distinguishing the characteristics. And that's why the a primary goal of the international community, world peace, is a condition of harmony and cooperation between the nations, where disagreements are settled diplomatically and without restoring a force. When nations make the commitment to preserve the rights and the dignity of people and engaging in arms control and disarmament, that also promote the economic interdependence, and it also stimulate the cultural exchange, peace flourishes, and that's why it is shared obligation, and that cuts beyond the national boundaries and aims to bring about a peaceful coexistence of all nations, leaving behind the devastating the legacy of war and violence. Yes, of course, it is all too simple to lose the sight of the deep significance of peace in a world dominated by the conflict, division, and adversity. Yes, all other human endeavors are based on the foundation of peace. Peace is the foundation. So it serves as the cornerstone of development, success, and joy. And it is the ideal environment for the growth and the development of human rights, health, and education. Of course, a healthy democracy's foundation is freedom of expression, which gives people to essential right to express their beliefs and ideas without worrying about the repression or the censorship. But this foundational right not only protects the democratic ideals, but also gives the people the freedom to question the current code. And that holds in the position of authority, accountability, and work towards the creation of a society that is more inclusive and just. So this is my short view for the. Thank you, Anjana.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That was really a very, as I said, it was short, but it was really a very good talk by you when we are talking about peace. And of course, like when we talk about peace, it is not just about having peace today, but it is about having peace for for many more years to come, for the generations that will be coming us. And if we talk about having justice, if we talk about having equality in the society, we need to have peace. And of course, we know that we cannot achieve anything just by force. It has to be achieved through communication and understanding. So on this occasion of International Peace Day, let's pledge to stop spreading violence and let's focus on spreading love in this world. But I would like to thank all speakers who joined us on this International Peace Day celebration by IDFIM Foundation. I also thank the founder of IDFIM, Engineer Ravi Shankar, so for arranging such a wonderful conference in which we have speakers from different countries and we could listen to the views of the people from different parts of the globe and how they have been working and what are the initiatives been taken by the various countries to maintain peace. In fact, not just peace within the country, but we are talking about global peace today. And I also thank our young and dynamic senior Dino Lasmi and Srinath Ma'am for their approach and breaking up such wonderful online events. And of course, nowadays, ITFIM is also organizing so many physical events and it's going on very well. So thank you one and all. Thank you for joining and thank you for sharing your views with us. Yes, again, I wish all of you that let's work together, let's support it together. And if you want to see that this world, there should be peace around, so let's work for that. You must be the change you wish to see. Thank you very much.